Welcome to Cemeteriat, the WordPress plugin that allows you to maintain a cemetery website for your small or historic cemetery. In this presentation, I'd like to show you how to use the editing features within Cemeteriat. We're going to go first to the admin screen and select Tools, Cemeteriat. And the function that we're going to be looking at is Add a Plot. Now here you see I'm displaying in the burial plot location fields, I'm displaying area, section, block, row, plot, and subplot. One of the first things you need to decide when setting up Cemeteriat for your website is how many of these fields do you need to display cemetery plot locations and to help people navigate your cemetery. Minimally plot is required. And if couples can share a plot, then subplot should also be used so that you can have a unique subplot for each member of the couple who's sharing that plot. All the other fields are optional, and all the fields can be reordered. How do you reorder them? Well, if I go to the settings, Cemeteriat, here I can indicate which fields I want to use and what order they'll be in. Now I'm going to leave well enough alone because I've already got some data on this website. This website actually is our demonstration website, and you can find it here at cemeteriat.edforbecky.net. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen. So I've decided I'm going to keep this this level of location, and I'm going to go back to Tools. Instead of going to Add a Plot, I want to show you one other thing. One of the things you can do is to add multiple plot locations all at once. So if you know how your cemetery is laid out and just want to get the plots identified, you can do that in this window. Indicate the area, the section, the block, a set of rows, and a set of plots. It won't go down to the subplot level. That's something that you can do yourself, drilling down later. So in my case, if I go back to the tools and I go to search by plot and just select them all, you'll see here I've already identified a main area. I think that's all I've done. Section 1, block A, and then a bunch of rows. Unfortunately, they don't sort numerically, they sort alphabetically. And then a bunch of plots within the row, and then I can indicate subplot later. Here's one that's populated. Willard Daniels is occupying the main area, section 1, block AAA, row 1, plot A, and it shows here as occupied. So what I'm going to do right now is rather than starting from scratch, I'm going to select Edit for a plot that I've already created. You see here that my fields are populated. Now I can hit a new plot and start from scratch, but since I've already laid out the plots, I'm going to leave well enough alone. Now the import location, the import location image allows me to place the default map in image for finding the plot under the burial plot location tab. What does that mean? Well, if I go to one of the sites I've done, you'll see here under the burial location section of the web page there's a very simple map. You can supply any map you want to by selecting Browse and then selecting an image like you normally would in WordPress. In this case, I'm going to leave well enough alone, mostly because I didn't plan ahead with a default image, and scroll down. Now I'm going to change the plot from available to occupied. I'll hit update now, and you see that it's saved. And the responsible person, who's responsible, and this is a living person who's responsible for paying for the plot, contact if something should happen to the plot, etc. And I'm just going to use, actually I'm going to use the name of one of my ancestors. David Thompson. I can use nicknames, I can use suffix, and I can provide address information, phone number, alternate phone number, and fax. I'm not going to do that. I can collapse that, or I can leave it. You see here it stays the same. And I'm going to provide alternate family contact, which is his wife, Thompson, Rachel. Now location notes will be displayed on the page as well if I have them, and typically that's going to be instructions to help further down the location, or it can be anything you want. And for my sake of my example, I've just used an ipsum lorem generator, and I'm just going to input a paragraph of data for the sake of the example. And then admin notes are not displayed on the public page. They're only displayed on this page. So if there's information needed about maintaining the site, the plot, or whatever, you can input that here. This is, think of it as private information, private to the admin of the website or the admin of the cemetery. Now I don't have to hit update, but I'm going to, and I'm going to switch here. Now importing a headstone image. I'm going to do that. I'm going to customize the headstone image, and I'm going to select the file. And here I've navigated. I've got a couple headstone images. I'm going to select the one actually for David Thompson, which doesn't make any sense if you think about it. I'm selecting a headstone of the first contact, but I will select that, and I just need to insert it into the post. Usually want to use full size. And you see here that will appear on the page. I tell you what, I'll straighten this out a little bit. I'll go back to the burial location and change the responsible party to Jacob, his son. There we go. So we'll put David in this plot. Now, so I'm going to enter Thompson David. I don't know his middle name. I don't know his suffix. I don't know if he had a nickname. Date of birth, I think was 1756 in Salisbury, Mass. And I don't have to do country, but I'll put U.S. Date of death was 1742. And actually, well, we'll leave it at that. I could do this down to whatever level I want to. It's just a text field. It happens to be Guilford, New Hampshire, again in the U.S. And I know that he was a veteran in the Army, Revolutionary War, as it were. And I don't know exactly where he was buried, but I do know he was buried in McCoy Cemetery, which is a historical cemetery in Guilford. You see I've got a link to the page that's already been created for this site. Now I can enter an obituary, long as or short as I want. Let's do a long one here. Again, I'm just borrowing from my ipsum lorem generator. And I'm going to go down to spouse of the deceased. Now in this case, I've already know that the spouse of the deceased is Rachel Thompson, who I've already entered as an alternate contact. So I'm just going to do link to person and type in Rachel, or the start of Rachel. Actually Thompson, I guess. Yeah, first name, last name first. And you see I can pick from Jacob or Rachel, and the information is filled in. I can fill in additional information. They were married December of 1784, as I recall. And let's see, does it give place of marriage? No. She obviously wasn't a veteran. I can give information about the father, should I choose to. And if Rachel is linked somewhere else on another website, I can include the link there. So I could do the same with the father and the mother, and I can also do additional images. Let's do one additional image. select a file, and I have another picture of his gravestone, so I'm just going to include that. It could be something from his life, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be gravestone images. And I'm not. And then if I wanted to add another picture, which I don't, but I select that, and you'll see it gives me another row. I want to delete that. I don't want it. Let's go ahead and update what we got. I don't want to lose anything. Now, if I'm maintaining information, I can put the list price of the plot. Let's say it was $5,000. I can indicate who bought it. Well, let's do another link, and this time we'll do Jacob as the buyer. Jacob Thompson filled in the information. I'm not going to bother filling in the address. This is the list price. Let's pretend you got a discount, and that there was no tax, and that there was a $2,000 down payment. And we could set up periodic payments, whatever we wanted to do. I'm going to indicate here that it is annual payments. I'm going to update it. Alright, so we've entered information about the plot, about the deceased, and an invoice for the purchase of the plot. I could actually, now that I've got information, I could manage payment. So I could say that when the initial payment was made, the fact that it's recurring, how they paid, if it was by check, what the check number was, and the amount paid. And I could print a summary or print an invoice. Now actually, print summary I think works. Print invoice does not, because no user has currently identified an invoice format. If that's something that interests you, contact me at edforbecky.net, and we'll see if we can't come up with something. Alright, so I've been pretty thorough here, and I've saved the information. If I go back to the deceased, I can see that there's actually a website page listed here. So let's go see what happened. Now this takes me to the Headstones page, and I go to David Thompson, and it brings me back to the Headstone page. So what happened here? Okay, there was an error in processing here, and I want to explain what the error was so that you don't run into the same problem. Because when I was working on the edit page, that's the edit page, that's not what I meant by edit page. If I go back to Cemeteriat, and you may remember back when I was entering the data on this window that I saved on this tab the headstone image before I'd actually entered a name. And at the point that I did that, because headstone image was entered, it went ahead and created the WordPress page for me, but it did it without a valid title. So the link got messed up, and the title link. So I went back to this page, and if I simply enter the name and save it, update it. Now I can view the page from here, but I'll go through the website to do it. Now when I pull down the headstone and go to David Thompson, you'll see I've got a website for David Thompson. So that was a mistake that I made, and to be honest with you, I didn't know it was a mistake you could make. But because I saved on the second tab without having a name, the title got messed up, and therefore the page creation got messed up. And what I've demonstrated now is how you can fix it. So if we look at the page, you'll see here's David Thompson, when he was born and where, when he died and where, the fact that he was a veteran is flagged and it was in the Army. I've got a custom gravestone picture here, his obituary, which is rather long. I've got a burial location, and I should actually have the default map here. I'll have to go back and see what happened with that, but you should see a map for the cemetery here based on the default map. You see I've identified his wife as Rachel Thompson, and I've got additional pictures that I can click on. This is a blow up of the inscription on the tomb. It doesn't have to be headstone information. I can click here and edit the plot again. You see here's my default image. Let me see if I can select an image from the media library, and fix that. Let's see, do I have a lot of, I guess I don't have a lot of images, so I should be safe. But I don't have the default image because it's loaded with the program. So if I loaded up another map, I could correct that issue with the, this is what should be showing up right, sorry. It's what should be showing up right here. And I'm not quite sure why it's not, and that's something that I'll explore, and hopefully you won't have the same problem. So that's it for using the edit screen to add and edit data. You've seen a multitude of options, including how to add a person from scratch or to link an existing person, how to enter data for the deceased, and also how not to enter data for the deceased, and how to use the invoice system. We may cover that in more detail at a future date, but this should help get you started using Cemeteriat to manage your local cemetery website. Thank you for the time, and I hope you found this helpful.